Alrighty guys, as the here begins another Dragon Ball Legends TOP guide video. So we're going to be hopping in for TOP Season 22. So last season, we ended off around, I think, rank 1,200. I mean, we've done better in the past before, right? But the main goal of these videos, as always, is to get into the top 25%. That way we can secure the 1,000 CC. That is the main goal of all these videos. So as always, make sure you guys are looking in the description for some timestamps so you can get where you guys need to go. Alright, so the first thing that I want to go ahead and talk about, this is something kind of new that I've been doing right here, is our path, right? The pathing that we're going to take. And obviously this can change, right? If you guys see a better pathing, you guys feel like it would be safer, definitely go ahead and do that. I'm probably not going to stick to this exactly, but this is like just a loose idea of what I could possibly take right here, right? So the circled spaces are going to be the most important spaces, right? Those are going to be your 5/5 stages for your 5th win streak bonuses, right? So this first one will be on the 5th win, and then on the 10th win, and then on the 15th win, 20th, and then the 25th, right? So you want to go ahead and land on pretty much the most difficult tiles on those specific stages, because that's where you get a big bonus for those, right? So once again, if you guys want to go ahead and screenshot this and save this for your own pathing, right, for your own run, go ahead and do so now. And let's go ahead and move on to the top teams. Alright, so the first team that I want to go ahead and mention is Regeneration. I know these videos kind of get a little bit repetitive in terms of teams right here, right? There's just very slight changes. But of course I have to mention Regeneration just because it is the best team in TOP due to it being so damn versatile. Right, just giving you so many options. If you get, there's always replacements for this team, and that's why it's always going to be my number one, right? Because I feel like it's the most friendliest team, right? And to me, that is the best team, right? So I will most likely run this right here for the season, just because I know a lot of you guys like to see me run Regeneration. That way you guys can go ahead and play it right alongside me. But the one variation or the one change that you're going to be seeing right here is I'm going to be swapping out the free-to-play 21, right, the red one, because she got bumped down to S tier. So I would replace her with the Omega Shenron. Personally, I feel like Omega Shenron is going to be better. You can see this is the variation of Regeneration that I kind of like to see right here. I'm going to be bringing a purple unit on my bench, but you can still also run a standard variation of it, right? You can see it right here on the right-hand side. This guy is rank number 7, and he's running, obviously, Boo Tanks. Boo Tanks is a must bring, right? He's your DPS. You have to bring him. So he has Boo Tanks. He has the Fat Boo. He has all 3 of the Zenkai Piccolos. I think that's one thing that I'm really lacking on, is that I do not have that DKP, the yellow DKP at a Zenkai level at all. That's someone that I definitely do need to work on. And he's a worthy replacement. Like, if you're missing one, you should not be missing the Legends Road Piccolo just because he's free to play. But if you're missing the LF Piccolo, I think you could easily replace him with the Demon King Piccolo, although you will be losing that guaranteed blue card right here, right? So you can go ahead and do this. And if you want a different green unit besides this first form cell, I personally like this first form cell just because he has extremely high key restore speed, but I know some of you guys aren't too into him, so you guys can easily go ahead and swap him out for that Buhan, right? That's another thing that I do like to mention. If you guys are looking for replacements right here, I would suggest first filtering it by key restore speed and looking for units that have a high amount of key restore speed, right? Because that's going to determine how early you're going to attack, right? It's going to determine the attack order of your own units versus the enemy units. So the next thing that I do want to talk about is Android. So Red 18 and 16, Zenkai 16 are still as dominant as ever, especially for this team. I still firmly believe that these guys are needed right here, right? The synergy between the 2 units is absolutely astonishing. And you can even see right here, most players that use this Red 18 will typically have her at 14 stars, right? Or definitely higher than me. I only have her at 7 stars right here, right? But every time I've used this unit in TOP, I've been able to keep her alive throughout the entire board, mostly because of this Zenkai 16. This is one of the units that I do feel like he has to be maxed out. He has to be at very high star level. He has to be completely maxed out in terms of Zenkai and Zenkai boost, just because he has an unrestricted cover change essentially, right? Before receiving a blast arts, he basically just jumps in front of it. It doesn't matter what health percentage you're at, and that can save you in so many situations, right? For now. But someone else that I wanted to go ahead and talk about, I talked about her last season, is this free-to-play 18. She is now in Z tier, right? So she is still definitely a viable option for you guys to go ahead and bring in here for TOP. Her kit still, I mean, it's good. I'm not going to lie to you guys. The kit is good. She does have support. She has a high amount of damage. But the main thing that really made her mid to me is just the key restore speed. The key restore speed was just such a massive turnoff to me. 2,400 at friendship rank 5, right? Once you get to friendship rank 10, you're going to go ahead and see that increase a little bit more, but I don't think it's going to be like a drastic increase, like maybe 2,500, which will be good, or maybe 2,450. I'm not too sure, somewhere around that range, right? But that's what really turned me off to her kit overall, right? Honestly, though, I'm still interested in seeing what she's capable of. Like I said before, she is in Z tier this season, so we can give her a chance. This is probably how I would run this. You could see on the right hand side, this person is also bringing in a free-to-play 18 with a bunch of just girls right here, right? Essentially just girls right here. I think the biggest crime on this team, though, the biggest or the most unfortunate thing on here is the fact that all of your 21s got bumped down, right? So free-to-play 21 got bumped down into S tier, right? You have the blue 21 in S tier, green 21 in S tier, and the worst part is purple 21. You can see she's actually one of my bench units because I think you do need a purple for the season. This 21 is an A tier, man. Why did you go to A tier, bro? Like that, I feel like that's so damn disrespectful. It definitely does suck, but I feel like that's like my biggest grievance with this team right now. Let me know what kind of purple you're using if you're not going to be using that 21 and you guys are going to be using androids, because I don't really see any other good options right here in terms of a purple. Alright, so the next team we have is GT. So GT's still doing amazing, right? So you basically, I ran this team before in the past multiple times where I didn't even need to bring in healer, right? I didn't even need to bring in Super Baby 2 at all right here. I mean, he's definitely one of the best healers, if not the best healer in the game right here, because he heals you on every single turn by 3%, as well as buffing your health restoration for 2 of those turns. It comes in clutch, right? Simply as that. But there has been times where GT is just so damn solid that you don't even need Baby, right? But I know a lot of you guys would probably want to play it safe, so you can definitely go ahead and bring him in right here, as you can see right here. I would probably bring him in this season. This season is going to be a little bit difficult for, I think, for just a majority of players, right? It's going to be a little bit different, right? I think this is one of those teams, though, to this day, that is just so damn good. Even if you look at my team right here, right, a lot of these units are in S tier. Like, look at this, like half the units that I have on here, over half the units that I have on this team are in S tier, but they're so damn good and they have such good synergy that I would still go ahead and bring them in. Because when you look into Z tier, a lot of these guys did get bumped down. I mean, you still have the Green Baby Vegeta, Zenkai 17, the Zenkai Vegeta, and the Zenkai Kid Goku. These guys are still all in Z tier, as well as the Shadow Dragons. But for me personally, I just am a massive fan of Majube, right? I'm a massive fan of that Super Saiyan 3 Kid Goku with how he can basically stun your enemy, one of your enemy's units, right? So that's just how I feel. Super Saiyan 4 Goku, he seems to always be capped out in S tier, but look at his key restore speed, 2,600, man. Like that's actually pretty good. What friendship rank is this at too, by the way? At friendship rank 7, yeah, so I do expect it to be a little bit more on the higher end right there. But overall, GT just absolutely just killing it right now, man. If you're running GT, you have the stars, you're going to be okay. Like I said before, even if you have these S tier units, you can even see on the right hand side, this guy is basically in the same boat, right? It's like Omega Shenron, S tier. Super Baby 2, S tier. Super Saiyan 4 Goku, S tier. Majube, S tier. 4 of his 8 units are all in S tier right there, and he's still at rank 58. Alright, so the next team I want to talk about is going to be Sagas from the movie. So this team is still incredibly stable. I would say they're very, very stable and very competent, meaning that they're not at the top of the top, but they're also not at the bottom or anything like that. They're nowhere near close to the bottom, but they're incredibly consistent, right? So I think the needed units that you need on this team are both of the yellow Gokus. One for the healing and one to Zenkai buff said healer, right? This guy will be your healer. He actually covers a massive range of healing right here, right? He does a total of 4 blocks, and every single time he gets attacked, or well, it happens twice. So when he gets attacked, he restores health of allies in range by 3%. That does activate twice. This guy is going to be providing the Zenkai buffs for your Sun family members, right? Or not for Sun family members, for Yellow and Episode Sagas from the movies. And so, like I said before, you want to go ahead and bring in these purple units. You want at least 1 green, 1 or 2 greens probably to be safe right here. Gokua just absolutely going to have a spot right here, simply because of the fact that he is going to have a buff against hybrids, right? And so as you guys do know, hybrids is still completely dominant on the boards. It has been for just such a long time. And so having this guy can't hurt at all. Plus he's going to be buffing your HP. That's always very, very valuable in this. And then the Bojacks, right? So you see both of the Bojacks right here on the bench, and they still do amazing here, don't get me wrong. But weirdly enough, they are no longer the MVPs of the team, right? They're no longer the most important players, the most key pieces, right? You don't need the Bojacks to succeed with Sagas from the movies anymore, which is not necessarily a bad thing, right? It's not necessarily a bad thing. They can still be your DPS units and stuff like that, right? But it just shows how the Sagas from the movies tag is growing and is like shifting away towards kind of like a different meta where they're a little bit more tanky right here, relying on these yellow units. Alright, so last but definitely not least, we do have LoE. So I feel like LoE is finally in a position where it doesn't, you don't even need the optimal team for it to be ToP viable, right? You can see right here on the right hand side, I actually took inspiration from his team to go ahead and build mine, was that he doesn't have LF Frieza, right? The yellow one, right? Specifically the yellow one, nor does he have the new Revival Frieza, who is incredible for this team overall, right? Because if that Revival Frieza, if you do have him, definitely go ahead and run him because he is basically your healer for this team. He's the first healer for LoE, I do believe. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments down below, but he is absolutely amazing. And just the fact that this guy is out here still running LoE with success, I mean, don't get me wrong, obviously if you have the optimal units, definitely go and do that. This guy's at rank 100 or rank 299, so definitely he's not at the tip of the, he's not at the very top, right? But that's still in the top 1,000 with this team right here, right? The synergy is there. You have amazing free-to-play friendly units such as Green Pod Frieza, Zenkai Full Power Frieza, Zenkai Chilled, and even the EX Zenkai Frieza. Just absolutely phenomenal. I can't wait to see where this team goes in the future. And I would say, like I said before, I would say they're moving into a really, really good spot where even players that don't spend a lot, or free-to-play players specifically, can possibly form a somewhat decent LoE team for this game mode. Alright, so for this season, things are actually feeling a little bit different, right? When you look at the map, you look at the board, you have a ton of Android teams running about, right? And they can be deadly because some of these teams can boast 2 healers, right? Because when you look at this team, at first glance, you immediately circle onto Red 18, right? Because she is a healer. But in case you guys didn't know, this 21, the blue 21, has the ability to heal transforming warriors, which 21 does fall into, right? So does units like Janemba as well. So there's 2 healers right here, and even a Bootank's member sometimes, right? You can see him right here. And so when you run into this team, make sure you do have the key restore speed to best Bootanks before you can get hit with this blue card. I think that's the most important part of this, and then you can go ahead and follow up with taking out the biggest threats next. And I would say a big threat after that, after Bootanks, if you can, right? It's not going to be 100% every single time that you can do this, but Green 21 can stun a unit with her Solar Flare at the start of the second turn. So use this knowledge to your advantage when you're actually picking your attack order, right? Because you could actually, in some cases, right, say you have a lot of blue cards saved up, there's going to be some cases where you're going to be able to snipe Bootanks and then immediately kill the Green 21. That's what I'm going to try to do, right? Especially since I'm bringing a Bootanks of my own. He's going to have a higher key restore speed than this 2-star Bootanks. I'm confident that I can get him out of the way and then maybe try to work on 21 before she can actually get her stun off. Obviously, another team that you're going to continuously see running around is this damn Sun Family team. As per usual, you do want units with high key restore speed, right? I don't think it's even about, as long as you're not just spamming purple units here. I mean, you do want purple units, right? But sometimes you want to have those purple units ride the bench, especially for fights like this, where you just want to have as many type neutral or type advantage units against Goten that are going to have high key restore speed. That's always very important, right? Because this Goten has really high key restore speed naturally, so you want to be above that. I would, like I said before, I think somewhere in the 2,550 range should be good enough to actually attack him before he attacks you, right? 2,600 definitely being like the most safest option. And not only do we have that stupid team running around, But we also have this team now too. So people are starting to mix the regeneration teams with the Sun family teams. I tend to avoid these fights. I would tend to avoid these fights for sure because they almost feel unkillable. Right? Let me know in the comments down below if you actually have an answer to these kinds of teams, because it feels like, so Gohan is just the wall right here, right? All your attacks are going to be focused onto Gohan first. So immediately after that, you have to scramble to kill Goten next. Right, on the second turn, you want to go ahead and kill him first because he gets a super attack on the second turn. And not only that, but once the third turn comes around, if you're not fully like just getting these kills, Kaioken Goku can get his super attack at the start of the turn. He also has high ki recovery, and then Piccolo, LF Piccolo, also who has high ki recovery, will also get his super attack at the start of the third turn as well. So it's like you just get hit with combo after combo right there. And the cherry on top is that this team is getting backed up by a healer and by a revival unit. So there's going to be so many times where you just can't even finish this kill right here, and that's going to result in you losing points. Alright, for the final segment of the video, we're going to be talking about new units. So the first one that I want to cover is going to be this full power Jiren. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of his ToP kit right here. I can tell you guys right now, I already looked at it beforehand, and it is actually pretty good. Right, look at this, 90% to own damage inflicted right off jump, gets a 25% to damage received, or I mean to damage cut, right? And he just basically gets a lot of stuff. One of the most important things right here is at the very end, where he inflicts enemy with can't attack for 1 turn. That's a very powerful ability that you see a lot of members of LOE have, or even the Super Saiyan 3 Kid Goku. And then even his second unique it's alright. I'm not gonna lie, I think the highlight of this one right here is that once he gets below 60% HP, he can start healing, right? He actually restores his own health by 10% once that happens. And he starts fiddling with his special move gauge chart, or with his special move gauge, and he can also upgrade his special move arts. I think like this is all good and everything, but I think what Rival Universe really needed here was a healer. I know this guy is not necessarily, he doesn't necessarily fit the bill for a healer, but they need some kind of aspect where they can heal. I think the biggest mistake of Rival Universe and even God Key is just the fact that Vados wasn't that designated healer when she's known as a healer, like in other roles, right? Or when you're just looking at PvP as a whole. So they're still in need of a healer here. This is fine and all, but you still need the healer. Alright, so the next unit we're going to be talking about for ToP is going to be Beerus. So I'm already going to go ahead and say he's suffering from the same problem that Jiren is having, is that the teams are just not that great, right? The teams still need a healer. The team still needs something to go ahead and actually make them ToP viable, right? A lot of teams do need that. That's why you see the same teams consistently being in my top 5 teams, because these teams are already positioned themselves to where they have tanks, they have healers, they have damage dealers, they have guaranteed blue card users, whereas these other teams, like this is decent right here, right? He inflicts the entire enemy board with debuffs right here, as well as getting his own damage infliction, or getting his own damage inflicted up by 80%, and then his secondary ability having a buff against God Key, which is fine. I mean, honestly, it's not fine because you don't see a lot of God Key on the board, but he doesn't have the ability to heal himself. He gets 40% to special move get damage inflicted, but only 20% to special move gauge charge rate, which is not the same as going directly to your actual gauge. So it's just like you keep pumping out God Key units like this, and they just turn out like really subpar. I think the best God Key unit out there right now for ToP is Goku and Vegeta, and they're absolutely shafted, always getting put in super low tiers, right? Another unit that we can talk about is Dispo real quick. Let's go ahead and take a quick glance because I have not checked out his kit. Lightspeed Battle, so 40% damage inflicted, solid. Or, well, I mean, it's alright. Minus 30% to damage received for 2 turns, and 100% to ki recovery. Okay, what is this ki recovery looking at right here? 2,600. Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I do like that a lot. 2,600. So you already know this guy's going to be attacking first. If you guys see this guy on the board in the future, just know he's probably going to be attacking first. Then at the start of the turn, you get 60% to blast damage, 15% to critical rate, as well as critical damage. I mean, it's alright. I think that the best part of this guy's kit definitely is just the fact that he's going to attack very early on. But other than that, he doesn't have too much going for him. I mean, he is going to basically be getting 100% to damage inflicted, so that actually can be pretty powerful, right? I mean, I think it's good. I would say I think he's good. Alright, so next we have this Topo, EX Topo. Let's go ahead and take a look at his TOP stats. He is a support type, so I think the best case scenario here is if he were a healer, right? I think that's going to be optimal for him. That's what they need. So start of battle, 40% to damage inflicted. He has a damage cut by 30%. Okay, interesting. Started the turn multi-target, so he's going to be buffing the row ahead of him essentially. Gets 15% to damage inflicted by allies in range for 1 turn. Cancels their attribute downgrades for Rival Universe, and then 10% to damage inflicted by Allied Tag Rival Universe for 1 turn, 20% to Allied Tag Rival Universe critical rates. I mean, criticals, they're not that great, I would say. I don't think crits are going to... I don't think they're going to be, like, separate the gap. They're not going to bridge the gap or anything like that, right? Like I said before, this guy needed to heal. I mean, it's an alright kit. You definitely do want to see a lot more from support, especially from an extreme support. He could have been a lot better right here. I think I would value Dispa over this guy. And the last unit I want to go ahead and talk about is this Extreme Android 17. So let's go ahead and take a look at his unique ability, right? Because it does get updated. He does get an extra one right here due to him getting that Zenkai. So Limitless Energy. 50% to strike damage and 100% or 100 to key recovery, just 100, right? Let's actually go ahead and take a look at his key recovery right here. I have him at friendship rank 2, so he still has room to improve. The key restore speed is god awful. 2,167. I'm not running this guy just because of that. Like, I'm gonna be real honest with you guys. I'm not running him just because. Or let's see the second unique. So at the start of the battle, or according to battle turn, second turn he gets 30% to damage inflicted, minus 15% to damage received. And on the third turn, he gets 30% to damage inflicted, minus 15% to damage received. Well, these stack on top of each other, right? So he would be getting a total of 60% on the third turn. I'm not too sure. Doesn't really specify, so I'm just going to assume so because 30% doesn't seem like a lot. Yeah, I'm not running this guy. I'm not going to run this guy. That key restore speed is just such a massive deal breaker, dude. Holy moly. Alright, so that being said, that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for this guide video. As always, in the comments down below, let me know what kind of questions you have, if you guys need any kinds of different variations of teams, or if you guys want any replacements for specific teams. And if you see other comments asking for help, definitely go ahead and help them out if it's in your realm, if it's in the realm of possibility, right? If you have the knowledge, if you feel like you're an expert with a specific team, maybe like androids or something like that, and someone needs help with androids, definitely feel free to go ahead and lend a helping hand, right? That way we have this community right here. We got to go ahead and lift each other up. So that being said, if you guys enjoyed the video, definitely let me know by leaving a like, a comment, maybe even consider hitting that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later!